right. The title of this live speaks about elevation. And I'm going to tell you something. I really need to have a real conversation with you guys about this, because I got to give it to you in a way that hopefully it drives home. I should have did this live on YouTube, but I didn't feel like jumping on that platform, so I'm doing it here. But elevation is not no joke. When you make a conscious decision that you want to elevate yourself, I think it's imperative that we as a people truly begin to understand fully what that means when you make a conscious decision to move in that direction. Elevation means that when you start to do that type of work on yourself, and you begin to start examining yourself, and you begin to start looking at yourself, and you begin to start dealing with yourself, and you start taking personal responsibility and accountabilities for the things you've done. When you start doing that, and you have to sit back and look at the mistakes that you've made in your life when you was in your shadow, and learning how to accept the shadow side instead of rejecting the shadow side. This work ain't pretty, it's not cute. And to be honest with you, depending on if you're grounded or not, you can get your ass caught up in some shit that you don't know nothing about. I mean, absolutely know nothing about. You know, I hear you guys talk about how you want your powers, and I hear you guys talk about how you want to elevate, and I hear you guys talking about how you're speaking to this person and that person and blah, 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 blah. Because it seems like a cool, trendy thing to say, because a lot of people are getting on this bandwagon, right? But in my experience, what I've noticed is that, let's say you start coming down into one of my programs, and people don't realize how real it is until they come down the program. See, that's the thing. People don't realize how real this shit can get when you come down the program. And what it has done is it has really, truly shown me that this shit ain't for everybody. Because in the process of you coming down this path, you're going to learn certain truths about yourself that you're not going to like. And you have to go through a process of forgiveness and acceptance of who you are and where you are and what you've done. You have to come to a place of acceptance in that. Your friends ain't going to be around no more. The people that you used to love, that you used to hang out with. See, you don't get to come down in a program, you know, elevating yourself, or take the trip of elevating yourself and still have the luxury of keeping your old friends around that made things a lot funner for you. Because remember, you live in this world. You are not of this world. And so when you start elevating, that reality begins to slap you in your face. It starts off on a subconscious level, and then it jumps to a conscious level. But it starts in the subconscious first and then enters into the consciousness. The self-awareness, you begin to start realizing when you get into these higher realms, your lack thereof self-awareness, and how easy it is for you to be deceived by anything out here moving. That is why it's very important that two things are in place. One, that you stay grounded. It is imperative that you stay grounded. Imperative that you stay grounded. It's too easy to get lost in the sauce because you're not experienced enough to know who you're talking to. You can be so high up in them damn realms because you're not grounded, and you think that you're communicating to something that has your best interest at heart, but you don't realize you're communicating to something that never had your best interest at heart. That will deceive you in the most strangest of ways. in the most cunning of ways to test you. Because you made a commitment to yourself that you wanted to do better. So here comes the test. Well, let's test and see if you really did that shadow work. Let me test you and see if that's really what happened. So here comes a minion. Here comes a clout chaser. Here comes anybody that comes out of their mouth to try to cause you some type of disheartening situation, some type of challenge. And depending on your perspective and how you're seeing these challenges, you could get lost in the sauce of the challenge itself. And God forbid that you have shadow work that you haven't done, because then if you haven't done your shadow work and you haven't healed from certain situations, then those entities can come in and start playing on that shit and creating scenarios for you, manipulating you, and you would never know that you were being manipulated, and you would never know that you're being deceived. Why? Because the one thing that native entity is very good at is playing on your ego and your arrogance. Just because you have gifts doesn't mean you can't be deceived or tricked. Make sure you're clear. Never make the mistake that because you have the ability to see, and you have the ability to hear, and you have the ability to have all these different experiences, that you can't be deceived. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you will be deceived. And your lessons that will be taught to you is a fact of how easily you can be deceived. Why? Because you ain't doing the necessary spiritual hygiene. You ain't taking your spiritual baths. Because when you're out there amongst the people, you don't realize how much junk and gunk you're dealing with. And to all you healers that are listening to me on this call right now, you should be doing a spiritual bath at least once a week, if not more. You should be having frankincense and myrrh and all types of shit, something burning in your house to counteract energy, because you do not know who is coming on that screen with you when you go to speak to them. You don't know what they're attached to. They don't even know they have a damn attachment. They're coming to you with their issues and their problems. So remember this, if somebody's coming to you with their issues and their problems, they got issues and they got problems, 9 times out of 10, they got some shit with them. That means it's your responsibility to make sure that you keep your aura field clean, so holes didn't get poked in them, so you can't be infiltrated by dark energy. Because I'm going to tell you something about dark energy. Dark energy is not a bad thing if you know how to balance it out. But if you don't know how to balance the energy and you're not familiar with dark energy, it is a very cunning energy. And it creeps up on you very, very subtly. Extremely subtly. When a negative spirit is around, you need to know the characteristics and that trait of that spirit that's communicating to you. You need to know the characteristics and the traits of the beings that you say you talk to, that look out for you. You need to know their names. You need to know their characteristics and traits. You need to know what they do. You need to know what your enemy and the shit that you're in. If you know there's enemies out here, if you know there's deceivers out here, deceiver spirits, it is your job and your responsibility to know what to look for by doing your own research and your own due diligence. That way you won't be so easily swayed when somebody comes out and speaks and talks crazy. You'll be educated. There's nothing worse than an uninformed, uneducated individual operating in the space of spirituality and elevation. You can't be both. And you can't automatically assume that because you have a pure heart that you can't be touched. You're going to be the first ones that they come after. And they're going to break you down in a way that you can't even begin to imagine. And you won't even see when it's happening. You won't see when it's coming. Let me give you some symptoms of what to look for when you come across people like this. They're in their ego when they speak to you. They cannot give you direct eye contact. They're always looking around. Every place but you. Can't look at you in your face whatsoever. Okay? They're being communicated to by other entities telling them situations in the form of somebody that you trust. How would you know who you're talking to? Well, then that means that whatever you trust, that means you would have to know the characteristics and the cadence of what is talking to you. if I say to you I'm getting communication from Shango, you best believe that I already know his characteristics and his traits and how he speaks and how he delivers information. So if somebody comes to me imitating or impersonating Shango, which it does happen with these spirits out here and these entities out here will come and impersonate something that you think that you know, but you're not paying attention to the language that's being said to you. You're not paying attention to whenever it tells you to make choices to move backwards. You're not paying attention when it's trying to poison you against your mentor or the people that you know that you've looked up to. You're not paying attention to that. Why? Because you think that you're special. Because you think you have certain communications with something that you don't realize hasn't been communicating to you for quite some time. It's been something else that's been communicating to you. Because you're being tested. We are all under judgment, and we are all being tested. Never think for 1 second that because you have skill sets, because you have a gift, because you have this, because you're more advanced, never think for 1 second that you cannot be deceived. Because if you don't know your enemy and how it deceives, and his angels, and how he deceives and how they deceive and how they put that militaristic shit together and how they work together and how they control certain sectors and how they use those powers against you to deceive you, you get another thing coming. Elevation is not a joke. How do you know that you're getting the correct information when you're getting this information? How do you know? What is your checks and balance systems? What are you going back to check the ground to see if, in fact, that the information that you're receiving is correct? Because you saw something? We all see shit. It doesn't mean that what we saw is what we really saw. And depending on the packs of who you made deals with and shit like that, and whatever your responsibilities are, it is your responsibility to know what the contract was of the being that you did the contract with. And then if that being is speaking something contradictory to what you made a contract with, it is your responsibility to know, wait a minute, something's off about this shit right here. Because I did a contract with you for this, but you're telling me something like this. It's your responsibility to be self-aware. Your responsibility. The ego is a terrible thing. It can get you fucked up out here. Arrogance is a terrible thing. Pride is a terrible thing because it can get you fucked up out here, having you thinking one thing, and then there's some whole other total different shit. Shit's so cold. The manipulation is so cold when niggas want to get, not niggas, but just spirits want to get at you. Shit be so cold because let's say you got an issue, right? Not even so much really an issue, but you have a preconceived idea based upon previous experiences you had with others. Now you're always looking to have this same type of experience with every person that you actually dealt with because you yourself have not healed properly in your shadow work or you didn't do your shadow work. And this mainly happens to people who actually don't do their actual shadow work. Not people that, it doesn't happen to people who actually do the shadow work. But I can tell when someone half-asses their shadow work and by how easily they're deceived by certain things. Okay? Because they would have gotten over certain things. No spirit's going to be able to come to me and gas my head up and say, oh, you're this and oh, you're that and this, that, and the third and blah, 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 blah. You start doing that shit, I'm going to be looking at you with 8 fucking heads. With a quickness. Who sent you, nigga? Who sent you? Because I know damn well I didn't send for you. Who sent you? Because I can smell deception. Do you even know how to properly set up your protections? And I'm not talking about the basic shit that I've taught you guys. I'm talking about programming your protections so you can be able to detect when you're being deceived. What's going to happen if we decide to when the Armageddon war comes to the point to where it's affecting the 3D realm? How are you going to know when you're being deceived? We're already in a cosmic war as it is. How do you know when you're being deceived? How do you know that what you're talking to is really what you're talking to? Because Nemesis now is literally activating who you really are. And some of you guys are demons in the flesh and don't even know it. Some of you guys are dragons. Some of you guys are positive energy forces, and some of you guys are malevolent energy forces. How would you know? Do you know? How would you know? Let me give you a hint. Let me school y'all on some shit. This is why it's important when they say know thyself. What do I mean when I say that? You have to know yourself in a way that you would know when some shit doesn't feel right. And if you know some shit doesn't feel right, it is your job to put a pause on it to find out why your ass don't feel right. If you're constantly being busy, constantly being bombarded with shit, if your money's not moving the way that it's supposed to be moving, that's how you know that there's some negative energy around you that's slapping, that's fucking with you right now. That enemy will have you looking at everybody else instead of looking at yourself. It'll have you pointing out at everybody else instead of you looking at yourself. Lack of experience and dealing with this trickery shit is the lesson. And it's some hard ass, nasty ass lessons that you have to go through. And on top of that, you gotta watch anybody else that's going down that road with you. You gotta let them go through the experiences too. And that's probably one of the hardest things ever when you come into elevation and you come into an understanding and knowing is that you don't have the ability to move against anyone's free will. So the only thing you can do is throw some breadcrumbs out there, hope somebody gets the shit, because you can't tell them really what it is because they have their own lessons that they gotta learn. So you can't tell them what it really is. The art of letting go is something serious when you come into this space of elevation. It means that there's no such thing as these things that you can control outside of yourself. One thing you will not be controlling is people. You have to let that go. You have to literally allow people to make their damn mistakes, even if you see them getting ready to jump off a damn cliff. You can show up and have a conversation with them and find out why they want to jump off the cliff. But at the end of the day, if a person wants to jump off the cliff, they're going to jump off the cliff. It's their free will. And there's punishment, there's karma that comes with interfering in a person's lessons that they got to learn. So you got to sit back and you got to watch this shit play out. And you can't do nothing about it. But cry and put some prayer of the person's life and hope and pray that they'll be delivered out this shit. But I want to make sure you guys are clear. You know, you need to really have a full understanding of what it means when we were given free will. You can't move against somebody's free will. You have to let them go through their shit. That's the only way they're going to learn. But you got to have the eyes and the stomach and everything else that comes with that to be able to let that person go through their shit. And it hurts like hell. There's a lot of you guys out here that say that you want this and you want that, but you have not a clue what it actually requires to go through that, because you're going to be losing people left and right out of your life because of whatever reason. And everybody's meant to go with you on your journey. Some people you help, they got to get dropped off somewhere else because they got somewhere else they got to go because of some other lessons they got to learn because of deals and pacts they made. Contracts they made or whatever decisions they did, they got to go live their shit out. You think that ain't painful to go through and watch that shit? When someone says, oh, I came through this and you're hurting me, you're hurting people. No, your ass wasn't ready for what you thought you was ready for. So then when your ass got cleansed out, you didn't realize that your whole entire life would be cleansed out. You didn't realize that your life was going to shift. You had no idea what all that entails. Because you were romanticizing this shit. Don't romanticize being in the cosmic realm, guys. It's not nothing to be played with. And what you're going to find out is there's more heartaches than there is joy. Why do I say heartaches? It's heartaches because of the lessons that you got to learn. It's heartaches because you have to be forced to constantly look back at yourself. It's heartaches when you got people around you that you love to death and you thought they loved you, but they're always looking for the worst in you. It's heartache because people really don't have your best interests at heart. It's heartache because niggas ain't where they need to be at in their growth process like they think that they are. It's a heartache because you never want to see anybody go through anything. Anybody that you love, you don't want to see them go through nothing. All your life, you've been the one that stepped up to save a person, or I got to rescue this, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, only to find out later on down the road, yeah, that causes karma. You can't do that no more. You got to go sit your ass down in the corner. You got to now turn into the guide. You got to really step your game up in your teacherhood. You can't be giving these folks the answers to their problems. You got to lead them to the answers that they need to figure out for themselves. I had to sit my ass down. That's what my ego death was about. When I told y'all that I was going through an ego death, fam, whip my ass. Shit had me questioning everything that I was doing. Am I doing the right thing? See, my level of help, I go above and beyond to help people. I was going so above and beyond to help people that I was stepping on the lessons that they were supposed to learn for themselves. And that caused me issues. And then I started seeing how that was draining my energy, because if people are going to siphon your energy if you allow them, they're going to siphon the energy. Especially if they think they ain't got to do the work themselves. They're going to siphon the hell out your damn energy. So then you gotta realize the mistakes that you made in your growth process. And even though your heart may have been with the right intention, see, let me explain something to you. It's imperative that you understand the differences. Your intention could be in the right place all day. But just because your intention was in the right place doesn't mean it was the right thing to do. You see the difference? It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Listen, man. You know, I keep bringing to your attention that we're all being tested. It's up to you to become self-aware of the tests. There are going to be people even close to you that's going to challenge you in ways that you're like, okay, why is this happening? They're going to challenge you in ways that's going to bring up past wounds and shit like that to test to see what you've gotten over. There's going to be people that loved you, and then all of a sudden, because they think somebody valid is telling them something about you, they think that they can look at you crazy and talk to you crazy and even try to attempt to even disrespect you because of that. I'm trying to tell you some real shit. It is a constant battle of up and down. I want you guys to understand something. We are all human beings having this experience. No, we are not. We are definitely something more than that, but I need you to be grounded. You live on planet Earth. You live in the 3D realm. That means that you need to be balanced and grounded on the 3D realm and move to what you always known. Sometimes you're going to take it back to your roots. Sometimes you're going to take it back to your ancestors when your energy feels off, and get the clarity that you need. Take your damn spiritual baths and keep up on your shit. You know when you feel run down. You know when you feel tired. Why you gonna keep going if you ain't got no damn energy? Take your ass to the ocean to go take a spiritual bath. You ain't even paying attention to how you not taking care of yourself. Energy all drained and siphoned and shit. And you don't see that? And you keep telling yourself that the reason why this is happening is because you got this going on and you got that going on and blah, 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 blah. Well, how about y'all pump the brakes, sit your ass still, Rearrange some shit, because if your ass feels drained or rained down, that means there's some other shit going on with you that you're not seeing. Some of you guys channel energy too much. Turn the damn channel off. Recognize. If you feel your energy being drained, recognize where that's coming from. Recognize how many times a repeated cycle comes up for you. My ego death hasn't left me yet. I'm still in my ego death. I'm still in mine. But I felt like I need to get on this live and I need to speak some real shit to y'all, because some of y'all out here are in complete and utter loss field. And you really do gotta have some experience in this shit, and you're gonna have to take a couple ass whippings and some L's. You're gonna get your ass beat left and right. Your ass gonna get beat. Okay? I'm letting you know right now, you're gonna get your ass beat. Because as you're elevating, there are certain things that no longer serve a purpose to you anymore. So if those things don't serve a purpose to you anymore, wouldn't it be common sense for you to think that if certain things don't make sense to you anymore, or something that you cannot relate to, doesn't it mean simply that you're evolving? And there's nothing wrong with evolving. It's imperative that you see things in its proper perspective. Never get your head so gassed up that you think that you're above everybody else. Don't do that. That's ego. That's your ego talking. Your ego's doing that. It just needs to be understood that everybody has a journey to go down and a path that they go down depending on the choices that they made. But never in a million years should you ever think that you're better, bigger, more talented than the next person next to you. A person may not just be in tune with their gifts yet. It may not be time for them. Everything is timing. Everything is divine timing. And it's not unity consciousness either. You see, in unity consciousness, there is no such thing as somebody being better than you. That doesn't exist. We're all on the same equal playing field. So let me remind you, for those of you, just in case who might have got ahead of yourselves, let me remind you swiftly. I told you we're moving into unity consciousness. Make sure you're clear about what that means. Nobody's above reproach, and I do mean absolutely nobody. As long as you got a human body and you got the human flesh on your skin, when I say this to you, make sure you're hearing me. I don't give a damn how much knowledge you have. I don't give a damn who's talking to you. Make sure you're clear. You are still subject to the rules of Kai, because you're in this physical body. And there's a lot of 3D shit that you niggas ain't even taking care of yet, because you're too busy being in them damn realms trying to hide and trying to escape. When in actuality, there's a 3D shit you gotta handle, such as your health. That's some 3D shit you gotta handle, because you're taking care of your 3D damn body. Because if this 3D body ain't working, then your ass ain't gonna be here no way. Appointments, work assignments, counseling, whatever you're doing on a 3D level, whatever you've been slacking on, y'all better step your damn game up and get your shit handled. Get your life in order. If you see that you've been spinning yourself in them realms a little bit too long, get your ass up out the damn realms and get your ass back grounded again to Gaia and get your 3D issues handled. Why? Because 98% of the problems that humanity has is caused on a 3D level. It's 3D problems. I ain't got no money. That's a 3D issue. You can't have your ass in the realms and your ass is broke. That makes no fucking sense to me. That means that you ain't handling the business that you're supposed to be handling. Because for some reason you think that by you being in the realm some kind of way, you're just, I don't know what you're thinking. Whatever you're thinking, get out of your thinking. Get out of the delusionalville. There's nothing worse than you walking around here and your ass is broke, but yet you up in the cosmic realm and you're doing this and you're doing that, but your ass ain't got no money. Because if you were balanced, you'd have everything. That's what it means to be balanced. So if you're lacking in one area, that means you're not properly balanced. And you don't get to put the blame on somebody else for that. That falls strictly on you. 1,000% on you. How much effort are you putting in to not be in that space? How much time are you putting in to be in that space? What efforts are you making to get yourself out of it? How organized are you? Do you have a plan set in motion? Have you even sat down and wrote down in your life things I actually need to get completed and accomplished at this time that is a must, that I must take care of? Has that even been done? Has the proper assessments been done? Have you did self-assessment? I'm constantly self-assessing every damn day. And when somebody tells you something, it's your responsibility to go research the shit. And if you can't research the information because you think it might not be in the book, then nigga, you better get to meditating. You better go talk to them ancestors of yours. Something. It is a constant work and growth on yourself when you say that you want to elevate. Elevation is not pretty. What if you find out you're some type of high-ranking commander, MFer from the angelic realm? Or what if you find out that, you know what I'm saying, you're some type of god being that's got some type of rank and you're on top of you're a part of a high council that you ain't know nothing about? Okay, let's just say that's who you are, because you got those people running around here too. When I do my cosmic readings, I drop the science on folks on cosmic readings and tell them about who they are. Once you find that information, then what? What happens from there? Do you know how to proceed forward to find out more about that journey? Do you know how to proceed forward? What guidance are you getting? Huh? What guidance are you getting? Who's guiding you? What are you trusting out here? You know, when I took that trip to Mexico, okay, someone made this comment, Shah Mustafa. He says, what if money doesn't necessarily mean anything to you personally? It comes to me, but when it doesn't, I'm content. I take it as a lesson to be happy without it, not to always look for it. Shah Mustafa, let me explain something to you. When you're on your path, it'll never be a conversation to be had. You will never have to look for it because you'll always have it. Unfortunately, you live in a capitalist society that requires you to have it. So here's your choices. You either take care of yourself or go homeless or become a burden to somebody else. Which is it? What's it gonna be? You being homeless on the street? You becoming a burden to somebody else? Because that's another unspoken elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. It's easy to say that when you're living off of somebody else's shit. It's easy to say that whenever you got mommy and daddy and you're living at home with mommy and daddy. It's easy to say that. But when you got real life responsibilities out here and that damn rent coming around the corner and them damn bills are coming around the corner and you can't pay them goddamn bills, what are you gonna do? Become a burden to somebody else? Let that sink in. See, we're gonna have a real conversation here tonight. That's what we're gonna do. What we're not gonna do is I'm not gonna cater to no bullshit. I'm gonna give you real life shit to talk to for you to think about for a moment. because it's shit that we never think about. You are responsible only to yourself. As long as you have the ability to maintain yourself, then fine. But the first time you got your hand out asking somebody for some goddamn money, guess what? Now it becomes a problem. Now you ain't taking care of your shit. Now you're a burden to your mama. Now you're a burden to your father. Now you're a burden to any other relative that you're staying with because you can't be consistent enough to take care of yourself and handle things that you need to handle on a 3D level because you're too busy getting up in them damn realms. Not knowing that this works differently. Why? Because what you guys are forgetting or do not know is that there's even power in being a human. Olodumare created human beings, and he also gave us a certain amount of power that comes with that. And the truth of the matter is we're actually more powerful than anything out there in the cosmos in the sense that we have free will. We have free will. Because if your ass was in that cosmic realm right now and you was an angelic, guess what? You don't have free will. Make sure you're clear. You don't have free will. But here, while you're alive on Kai, you have free will. So there is value to your life. There is value to you being a human. There is value to you actually operating on a 3D level in a sense of your groundedness. Remember, you start from the bottom and then you elevate up. You don't go up and then go back down. That's why it's called elevation, because you are smoothing out the things that you got going on here in the 3D realm. And if you got unfinished business and you got unpacked bags and shit like that, you ain't going nowhere anyway. Your ass going to remain here until you learn the lesson. Because what's going to happen is you are going to repeat some of your karmic cycles on a subconscious level, and you're not even going to know that's what you're doing. Because you didn't learn your lessons the first time. Or you just chose to skip some shit. There ain't no skipping in this shit. Do any of y'all seriously think? Because if you think this, you need to get your ass back down to earth immediately. If you seriously think that your ass is going to jump into some cosmic shit and you ain't got your 3D issues handled and proper and handled right, and you ass ain't properly grounded, see, that's the test that we're under. You think that you're going to be up in them realms? How you going to houseway? How? When you still got 3D weights on your ass that you ain't handled yet. 3D bricks on your ass that you ain't handled yet. You ain't unpacked into them negative bets. So now you're going to carry all these issues with you. Your lack of wanting to take responsibility for yourself and all types of shit. You're going to bring that shit with you. And you think you're going to bring them problems into the new realm? Please. Ain't no skipping in this shit. Y'all always want to do some shortcut shit. Ain't no skipping in this shit. You think you're gonna skip? You think you're gonna cheat the system? Well, the joke is on you. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because I'm gonna tell you how this gonna go. Whatever lessons you don't learn, another simulation is gonna play itself out with a different set of people. Same scenario. If you failed your test, that test is going to keep coming back around until you recognize the test for what it is. You see the pattern and you break the pattern and you forgive yourself. So here's the thing, guys. A lot of us, we get into these patterns because of lack of self-love, and we haven't forgiven ourselves, and we haven't come to a place of acceptance about ourselves. That's why I'm more centered and grounded and much more calmer than I've ever been. I got tests coming at me right now with people that I really care about right the fuck now. Big time fucking tests. All the way across the board. Only thing I can do at this point is allow shit to play itself out. That's all I can do at this point. I can't do anything else. That's a hard position to be in. But I have to let things play themselves out, and it will play itself out. It will play itself out. And it's a test for me. Do I have the ability to step back and allow people to go through their lessons, or do I choose to intervene? I can't intervene. That's putting me in harm's way. I don't want you guys to learn your lesson about intervening in situations. Mind your damn business. Go sit your ass in the corner and mind your damn business. Worry about your shit. If your shit ain't together, mind your damn business. If you got issues that you ain't handle, mind your damn business. You ain't got time to be collecting nobody else's karma when you ain't even got your own shit together. Because see, what happens is when you step out there like that, now you got your bullshit that you got to deal with, plus the karma that you accumulated by intervening in somebody else's shit, and now they're their shit. And then you want to know why your life ain't going right? Why cycles keep repeating themselves? All types of reasons as to why these things happen. Whatever you decide that you're going to open up yourself to is what's going to approach you and what's going to infiltrate you. This is why I said in my previous live, what did I say to y'all? What you think is how you feel. How you feel is what you're going to project to the universe. And what you project to the universe is going to reflect right back at you. It's going to come to you. So if your thoughts is to think the worst of the people that you know that love you, that's exactly what's going to be projected right back to you in your own perception. And you created that hell for yourself because that's what you were looking for. What I've learned is that perception really is a mother. Because in one aspect, you can see it one way, and somebody with more experience than you and wisdom can see it a whole different way. And let me tell you something. There's no such thing as right or wrong in this shit. When you start talking about perspectives, how is there right and wrong? There's no such thing as right or wrong. But each perspective can help a person grow if they're open enough to hear the perspective. You'll know if your perspective works because it won't bring you confusion. It won't bring you tiredness. It won't bring you drainage. It won't bring you sunken in eyes. It won't bring you lack of sleep. It won't bring you discourse in your heart. If you're experiencing those things, guess what? That shit you're doing, it ain't working. That means that you need to reevaluate what you're doing and who you're doing it with and who you're talking to and who you're communing with. Because the one thing I do know, and you guys better know this, if you don't know nothing else, who is not the author of confusion? Who is not the author of confusion? So if you see confusion coming in your direction and chaos coming in your direction and all types of shit coming in your direction, see, when you have those type of distractions, you can't make money because you're not focused really on making money. You're focused on other things. So then your money starts slacking off. That's how negative energy works. Okay? You know how everything's going good for you one moment and everything is good, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a drop in reduction in your money? That ain't got nothing to do with nobody but you.